In a world where information seems to travel at the speed of light and traffic at a snail's pace, where the agenda of those at the helm doesn't always reflect the pressures on the streets, where the rubber hits the road, where there's queue of issues needing to be interrogated in the name of speaking truth to power.
Welcome to a place at the table,
where we set the agenda,
table the issues that matter to you,
and invite you to take a seat at the table.
Welcome to a place at the table. Did we mention that the table is for you and I? Well, that's my focus today as I spotlight embracing body positivity. Hear me when I say you are enough as you are.
I hear you. Loud and clear, Zumah. Perhaps it's a form of insecurity that causes some of us to pursue power for power's sake. I'll be focusing on the cost of power and the price we have to pay.
Power for power's sake? No wonder we appear to get it twisted. I'm calling for a revolution in how we treat ourselves and saying, if we don't fix this, then we can't fix Nigeria.
Certainly, Elsie. Perhaps what we need is a reminder of the beautiful people we are. And I'm here to do just that. I'll be taking us to Ojude Oba.
Funke, I like the beautiful, because you're looking beautiful. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
I hope I'm not being a party pooper when I turn our attention to the institutionalization of jungle justice and perverse incentives that are awaiting us as soon as we hit the roads.
We make no apologies for calling it like it is at the table. Nonetheless, both can sit side by side, Owambe and speaking truth to power. It's allowed. In a world saturated with unrealistic ideals, airbrushed images, curated social media feeds, and rigid standards of perfection, it's time to embrace our flaws as integral parts of who we are. It's time to redefine beauty on our own terms. It's time to champion self-love, dismantle harmful stereotypes, and recognize that your body, with all its unique quirks and imperfection, is enough and worthy of respect and celebration. Your flaws, whether stretch marks, scars, cellulite, big stomach, thin lips, or features that don't fit conventional molds, are not defects. They are stories. They mark your journey. They mark your choices. They mark your resilience and your individuality. A 2023 study published in the Journal of Health and Psychology found that individuals who practice self-compassion and accept their perceived flaws report lower levels of anxiety and higher self-esteem. Yet, societal pressures often push us to hide or fix these traits, fostering shame instead of pride. Everywhere you turn, there are so many calls for body enhancement, from tummy tucks to BBL to fillers, triggering your insecurities, preying on them and telling you that you are not enough. Embracing flaws doesn't mean ignoring health or self-care. It means rejecting the idea that our value lies in our appearance alone. It's about appreciating our bodies. It's about inclusivity. It's about celebrating all bodies, regardless of size, shape, color, or ability. To truly embrace body positivity, we must challenge toxic narratives. We must call out media that perpetuates harmful ideals and support brands or creators who showcase real, diverse people. We must practice self-kindness. We must replace negative self-talk with affirmations that honor your body's strength and uniqueness. We must set boundaries. You must curate your social media to prioritize accounts that inspire confidence over those that foster comparison. Flaws are not failures. They are proof of a life lived. By embracing them, we free ourselves from shame and empower others to do the same. Body positivity isn't about perfection. It's about authenticity. Let's celebrate every scar, every curve, every so-called imperfection, and build a world where everyone feels enough just as they are.
Zumah, please, big stomach is not a flaw. let's make it
I love
first and foremost. It's not a flaw, right?
The belly I get, I don't kill person.
Right? I love this advocacy. Like you said, everywhere we turn, there is cosmetic surgery, something is happening. Again, if you can afford it, to be honest, I'm not knocking you, but we need to really embrace our flaws and begin to love ourselves. I think the interesting thing now is that those who even come out to say that they are body positivity advocates are also struggling inside. We've seen, I think there was a story of someone who died who is a body positivity advocate, and from the story I read, I think she was trying to do something on her body or reduce her weight. There's one outside Nigeria as well. And if you're coming out to encourage people, maybe after posting those videos, like sit back and watch them again and try to encourage yourself, because we're not all the same. We're not all going to look the same. We're not all going to have the same body features. I mean, God is amazing. We're all masterpieces, right? So just embrace yourself and really find a way to understand that you're perfect and love yourself. It begins from the mind.
Yeah.
And I love what you said about creating your timeline. Like, I've been preaching this forever. Yes, social media is accessible to you, but how do you use it? How do you let it affect you? What are the things that you feed on? Sometimes I say that I see certain things because my friends send them to me, but I've also got to that point where even if it's a friend that sent it to me and I don't want to engage, once I listen to 5 seconds and it doesn't work for me, I close it and I move on, right? So we need to learn to create our timelines and also love ourselves. I'm
going to read from Beyonce's lyrics.
I thought you wanted to say from the book of...
Pretty
from the book of Beyonce.
It says, pretty hurts to shine the light on whatever is worst. Perfection is a disease of a nation. I'll just skip to the part where she says, it's the soul that needs a surgery. And I think...
It's the soul. Because you can't surgery your way out of self-esteem.
So no matter what you look, I've seen people who are skinny, look good according to society, and they're still messed up, they're still depressed, they still have anxiety, they're still confused.
Yeah.
So I think instead of trying to focus on the outward part of your body and how people perceive you, focus more on your mind. When you're able to empower your mind, there's nothing in this world anybody can say that can get to you. Yeah. And just focus on finding who you are, not what you are, right? Because what you are is mostly the outward part. Who you are is the inward part. So once you're able to identify the greatness that you have, you're able to identify the fact that every single day, the amount of, organisms and organs that go through your mind to make you functional is beyond human comprehension. That's how amazing you are, right? Once you understand the depth of that, there's nothing, whether social media, whether somebody's comment that can get to you, because you know who you are. And when people, and it's something that can be perceived. Knowing who you are is not something that, like when you know who you are and you come around people, there's an energy that you deplete out, that people just know that, you're her. Or
there's
you're
an aura.
That's an aura. You get what I'm saying? So I feel like it's a great advocacy, but people should really just focus more on their minds and their heart and their soul and their spirit, and everything else outside would align.
This advocacy is timely because we're in an era where a lot of our young ones feel inadequate about the way they look. They feel inadequate in the sense that, oh, I'm too skinny or I'm too big. And so on and so forth. I got my baptism into body imperfections when I lived in South Africa. And I saw this women, voluptuous like that.
Very flat stomach.
Yes, and I saw the way they carried, the women in South Africa are a lesson in imperfection, body imperfections. I'm going to put that in quote, because you see these people and the way they carry themselves like beauty queens. I learned that in South Africa. Come back to Nigeria, we have a culture of, and I think it's a recent thing really. Before I forget what I want to say, I just want to say that you're tailored for your purpose. As a media trainer, I tell my presenters, I tell the young people that I, mentor or coach that you have the body you need to function in the world. You're tailored for your purpose. It doesn't matter. There's somebody called Fumi Oda.
She's not big, she's not curvy, she's not whatever. She doesn't align with your beauty, standards. Thank you. But she made
Phenomenal.
impact.
She is
phenomenal woman. It is the soul, just as you've said that she said, talking about Beyonce. It's about what you make. You see, this body is a case, is a casing, is a shell. And so when you focus too much on it, you lose the substance that you're meant to give out to the world.
I'll just pick up from where Funke stopped, because there's no good or bad, really,
Right.
It's a spectrum from just simple makeup to surgeries. Some will condemn even simple makeup and say, oh, why do you even need to make up? While some feel it is when you've gone to the point of doing a surgery that is extreme. So really, it's about what makes you feel good. I think humans generally, the whole thing about looks didn't start today, and it's not going to end today, but it's the extremes. It's the extremes that hurt.
The BBLs nowadays.
Yeah, just to find the middle ground, what you are comfortable with, not because society is pushing you into it. And I think I don't want to reiterate your quote, flaws are not failures. They are evidence of a life well lived. I love that. I love that. But cosmetics is big business, and it's a spectrum, and I think we just need to find the balance.
We first need to be secure in ourselves before we can determine what we bring to the table.
Personal security before power, or else power will be inevitably be abused and end up serving nobody. We're always quick to blame politicians for broken promises. But the truth is, we are the ones who hand them the keys. And until we understand how that happens, nothing is going to change. See, before anyone holds office in this country, two forces quietly shape everything. The first one is money and a small group of people. It all starts with the primaries. A few party delegates gather in a room and decide who gets the ballot. But they're not asking, who has the best ideas? Who has the best vision? Who has the best track record? Nah, they're asking, how much money are you willing to spend? So the person with the deepest pocket, not the brightest idea, gets the ticket. Then comes the next layer, buying structures. The unions, the youth groups, the chiefs and the kings, the women associations, everyone wants mobilization. To run for House of Reps, you might be spending around 500 million. What about Senate? Try 2 billion. Not to build roads or run ads, just for mobilization. And after all that, who actually votes? And let's look at this. In 2023, we had about 93 million registered voters, but only 25 million showed up. Our president became president with 8.8 million votes. That is 4% of the entire population. In Lagos, Sanwo-Olu was re-elected with 762,000 votes out of 7 million registered. So think about it. A few delegates pick the options, a few voters crown the winners, and somehow we call that democracy. What that really is a political marketplace. Power is negotiated between politicians and few gatekeepers, and people are left to pay the price. Us. Now, how do we pay the price? First, they have to recoup their costs, because it's a business. You pay off debt, you settle the godfathers, and then the constituency funds become a refund of money spent, and the cycle repeats itself. So if we want change, we need campaign spending limits, real civic education, and we need to show up and not just vote, but to join the parties that shape the system from the inside. Because until the cost, and again I say, Until the cost of power stops exceeding the salary of the job, politics won't be public service. It will stay a business. So the next circle, which is 2027, ask yourself, are you part of the electorate or just another spectator in the political marketplace?
A lot of young people say they don't want to go into politics. They don't want to join any political party. But as far as you don't join a political party, you cannot be part of the decision-making process. The first way to be part of the electorate is for you to join a political party and be part of the process. I can remember APC in previous elections, they've tried to do the direct primary route. You know, they were complaining it costs too much to run and all of that. But at least it gives you a chance to nominate who the party is even presenting for elective offices. But if you are not even a member of the party, you cannot be part of the process. So let's say you are not a member of the party, they nominated certain people, they won the primaries, they got to the INEC, they were glad it's election day. Do you even go out to vote? Find as much as possible, no, what's the word? Nobody was asked what your ideas were and all of that. At the primary level, the question is who is the most popular and what is the financial capacity to win this election? That is what the parties will put out. So it's not just enough to have money, you have to be popular. What we need to bring in is not just money.
Money can make you popular, though. What are you talking about?
Not all the time.
What?
Not all the time.
Okay, go ahead.
But beyond that, we need to start asking these questions. The political parties need to start asking these questions. So what are you bringing to the table? What are you doing differently? What do you have for this part of whatever it is you're meant to govern? What are you doing there? But then again, we don't. And then on election day, the statistics are usually very disturbing. You see 7 million votes, you now see 800,000 people coming out to vote. Why? How? And a lot of people will say election violence again or rigging, my vote does not count. I always say this, rigging only happens in spaces you are popular. If you are not popular in a particular location, you cannot rig. You know, and say election violence. Election violence thrives when there are little people to defend the vote. We've seen it happen countless times. If everybody keeps saying, oh, my vote does not count, they are going to shoot us, at least go first. We can't continue on this cycle. We just have to take our citizenship responsibility more seriously. We have to start voting. We have to start getting involved in the political and electoral process.
Zumah, election violence is real. They don't do it in the metropolis where there are cameras and everywhere.
I don't vote in the metropolis.
Don't worry. Election violence.
I'm not disputing the realness of it.
Real, and it's a lack of faith in the system. Okay? That is why people don't come out to vote, because rigging is there and it happens. At large scale, not even at small scale. Secondly, there's an intimidation of donors post-election. So you find out big donors don't want to be known in case you don't win. Okay? They hide behind the scenes, unlike in other clients where we know that this person donated to this person's campaign. But fear of retribution in case sometimes we hear of the same donor giving to the likely candidates to win. But just to come back to the points before Zumah's stimulation, unfortunately, money and politics cannot be separated, especially in a democracy. It's been predicted thousands of years ago that democracy will get to the point where it goes to the highest bidder, and that's what we see. And money in politics is not necessarily bad. Organizing is expensive. Organizing rallies, organizing people, running ads is expensive. Talking about putting limits, the part of spending we don't like in politics is not documented money. It's money that goes into the dark hole, the vote buying. Those are not monies they declare to you. So it's a whole lot of things. I think we need to have some sessions where we discuss only one topic.
I definitely agree with Zumah when she said we need to take citizen responsibility very serious. But we also cannot turn a blind eye to why taking that serious is a very big challenge, which are some of the things that Ande has already mentioned. You said something about campaign spending limits. Based on the things that I've read from their INEC so-called constitution, there is a limit that they're supposed to spend. But there's no transparency. We don't know where the money is going, how it's going.
Where it is coming from.
Where it is coming from. Even at the end of the campaign, they're expected to submit a report, right? INEC chase them, submit reports. We hear it in the media 1 or 2 times, and that's the end. So we already have some laws, but the problem, like we always say on this table, is implementation. What exactly are we doing? But really, yes, I agree. But I'm repeating that one of the reasons, because I'm also adding myself to the bulk of people right now, right? Because the figures you gave are very mind-boggling. Like when you think about the population, those who registered and then those who ended up voting, then my next question would be, so let's say 95 million, let's stay there. The whole 95 million people comes out to vote. With the current structure of INEC and what they have, the system they currently have, can they even take that number of votes? That's where I'll end it.
I love this advocacy, particularly the concept of political marketplace. Politics is expensive, and that's why there exist godfathers and godmothers, and whatever name you call them. Because if you do not have that money, and you want to run for office, some people are going to have to bankroll you. Now, at this table, repeatedly, Yinka has made a case about campaign funding. I don't know if you remember.
Yeah.
So we need civic education, and this is where the media comes in. The media has, or have, because the media is plural, have to educate the people about campaign funding. How can you fund the right person? I love this advocacy, because what you've done is to analyze the Nigerian political landscape in a very vivid way. So if you got money from wherever and you got there, you're going to want to recoup your money. How then do we penetrate this structure, existing structure, to bring in able people, competent people that we know can bring about change.
And generate revenue.
But they don't have money to run in this kind of structure. That is what we should be thinking as a people, because change is what is constant. We cannot watch for this particular existing structure to continue. How do we puncture it? At what stage do we puncture it? How do we get in and catalyze change? First of all, we have to get the people to understand how the Nigerian system works in terms of what is there about campaign funding. When we make that popular, we make people to be aware of that, then we can begin to call for adherence to what's in the INEC requirements for campaign funding. And perhaps that is the only way we can get in to change the present status quo.
Except we evaluate the cost of any resources we are entrusted with, we will end up neglecting it and paying the price of our neglect.
You make a solid point there, Bright. Why don't we start with our human resource? How much do we value each other? Last weekend, we saw the video of Dari at Alade's family's Range Rover burning to ashes on 3rd Mainland Bridge.
Damn.
As thankful as we were that no lives were lost and hopeful that the God who provided it will provide an even better one, what struck me were the reactions. Some pointed out that if 10 cars had stopped with fire extinguishers, it could have been contained. Maybe they were right or not. That line of thought brought to mind similar tragedies, too many of them, where lives were lost because no one intervened. I recently saw a video of a man who picked up an unconscious stranger by the roadside, drove him to a hospital, but the nurse refused to attend to him, claiming they had no gloves. And then, of course, we remember the heartbreaking story of the co-founder and CTO of Bumper. People still speak about how the system has made Nigerians too afraid to help victims. There are no proper investigations, no forensics, just wild accusations. I put it to you that you killed Mr. B simply because you brought him in dead on arrival. I'm not here to throw blames or call names. I'm here to ask, when did we lose our humanity? Nigerians are not selfish. We're not. We're known for our kindness, our sense of community, and our ability to support each other. But what happens when every institution designed to protect you fails repeatedly? When hospitals can't help, police cannot be trusted, and justice is only for the wealthy. People retreat. They see others not as brothers and sisters, but as potential threats or liabilities. Let's stop excusing indifference with "na condition make crayfish bend." The system is broken, yes, but we must not let it break us. The cultural shift back to care, accountability, and communal responsibility must begin with us, especially those of us who still have some form of clarity, platform, or even power. To fix Nigeria, we must fix how we see and treat one another. Until we become our brother's keeper again, we remain a nation in free fall.
So, thanks for this advocacy, but it's a very complicated issue. The issue of kindness is or lack of it is a global problem. In advanced countries, you help someone and they can blame you for exacerbating the condition. They say, oh, the way you move the person, the spine shifted this way, and then you are faced with lawsuits forever. What you are talking about here is a very real problem, especially accident victims. Unless you are actually happy to dedicate like 2 or 3 complete days, you know, to answering police questions and harassment. You know,
2 days, weeks.
Weeks. So you see, that's why I said it's a very complicated problem. You see, people actually want to help, but if you pick an accident victim today, after we speak now, and take to the hospital, they will link you to the police, and the police will. All they need to do is to take your phone number and your contact details and allow you go. Maybe they need to ask some questions. How did you find the person? But nobody needs to waste any of your time. But that is not what is obtainable here. And when you say every institution has failed, I'm coming to road safety later. I'm focusing on road safety today, and we're not going to let them off easy. You know, those other claims that I mentioned where they will say, why did you intervene when you didn't have the expertise? They know you can call for help. And when you call for help in relatively good time, help will arrive.
Absolutely.
Here, road safety is busy looking for fire extinguisher that they could not use on Third Mainland Bridge. For the car you mentioned, looking for a triangle, rather than going to do emergency for triangle in people's cars. I'll come back to that later. So that's the thing, the institutions have failed. And see caution.
I think one of the part of the advocacy that struck me is when you said we must not let it break us, right? I think that's broken me. I said there's something to come and fix me back. Yesterday night I got back home by 1 o'clock, and it was raining. I just like few distance from my gate, I saw somebody. This is like 1 a.m. just sitting down on the floor. I asked myself 2 questions. If this person need help, if I come down from my car like this now, some guys will pull up from different places.
You don't need help.
I'm like, nope. Open my gate, drive inside, lock my gate, went back upstairs, call my gate man. There's somebody outside, please check and look and see if. I said, here the guy is talking. I realized that he was drunk.
Okay.
And I ended up there. But I wasn't about to get out of my car to save anybody because I don't know what's going to happen. Same thing has happened to me before where I was driving and I saw this, late at night, this big stone, like huge stone in the middle of the road. I'm like, I saw it, I moved away from it, so I parked. And I was going to move it away because, you know, the next person might not see it. Yeah. Hey, God. As I was getting close to the stone, so I started moving it myself. I just ran back into my car. So apparently,
It was a trap.
It was a bait.
it was a trap. So how would you know the difference? They're different. Like Nigeria is so unsafe that everything is a suspect. Everything and everyone is a suspect. And so for you to be able to protect yourself and save yourself, you need to just avoid. Now, there are situations where people actually need help. But how do you differentiate? Can someone create an AI where we'll be like, oh, this person is actually real.
Situational assessment.
How do we know? Right? So I think we're broken and it's not our fault.
So
if we have better
right.
security in the country, if we have, you know, we know that we're protected, we will not be afraid to help others. But strategies now that Nigerians will put in place to come and capture you, there are too plenty.
We used to be communal people. What changed? And is this a big city problem or is it a national problem? Because the situation of Dare, if multiple cars had waited to offer support, something could have been done about the car. The issue of the bumper CEO, if the lady who hit him had taken responsibility and taken action immediately, it could have been saved.
And if the first hospital they got to did
had
something.
also done something, it could have been saved. So these are situations where there are no security implications for the people supporting. So as much as we are meant to protect ourselves and do situational assessment before offering support, we also need to be empathetic and say, okay, because it didn't used to be like that. Like before, if you shout alone, like 20 neighbors are out to support you. Now, if you shout, everybody's minding their business. I mean, the apartment I live in caught fire one time, 9 blocks of apartments. No one remembered to even check all the other apartments to confirm if there was anyone inside. It was because I had it, and we don't even have one another's number, but the security man had it, but he didn't call anybody.
Wow.
It was another neighbor that we used to work together that called, are you in the building? The apartment is on fire.
Wow.
So we had a lot of neighbors. Everybody came out recording.
And nobody even has anybody's number. And this is like an apartment.
It's an apartment.
Bro.
So I think we
crazy.
imported so much individualism
that
it's kind of like eroding our culture. We all need to do better.
It's crazy how we follow each other on Instagram, but we don't have each other's number. We live in the same neighborhood.
Did we import it or
it is what it is.
Imposed on us, as Bright has said?
Imposed it.
That's what Funke has
Law
to say.
enforcement, criminals, it's so complicated. Like, have you tried saving an accident victim before? I'm a medical doctor, I know what people go through. They bring people, mass casualties sometimes, they would literally dump them and run away. That's the best they can do. They don't even want to stay and start answering any questions.
Because they don't know.
Yeah, what I mean is once law enforcement gets to know, they keep them.
Yeah.
We've lost so many people to that because people are just afraid. Because once police gets involved, you are the first, they will not release you until they so-called get to the bottom of the matter. It's a big problem.
If we want this change, we have to get the police, the Nigerian police, to resensitize their men to not make victims of those who of good Samaritans. That's number one. But I'll return to what I see as a recurrent comment here at the table regarding this advocacy, and it's this sense of community that we've lost. What I wrote here is that this is how the African societies, through globalization, have lost that sense of community. We always want to be like the Joneses in Europe, in America, and other places of the world. And so increasingly, we lost our sense of community. That's number one. Number two, former Secretary of State, Hillary Clinton, former presidential aspirant, wrote in one of our books, it takes a village. It takes a village to not only raise a child, it takes a village to remain cohesive. You cannot see your neighbor or somebody within the society going wrong or facing danger and you move on. The reason why we're having this is partly what you said, that people are afraid of our policemen. Once you do that, you're in trouble, and you doctors as well. Once we bring people to you in the hospital, you tie us down. We must pay for this and pay for that. I don't have to pay for that. So the government itself should make provisions for people who are being helped. There should be something in hospitals that will take care of that person until the people who are his relatives come to be.
And this is where health insurance comes.
Yeah, there is a law.
Before I forget, in the case of Dari, so there is this resentment for affluent people in Nigeria.
So for accident victims in public hospitals, so that people need to know this. It's better, there's an act that was signed, a bill, it captures both private and public, but it's best to just go to a public hospital. They are supposed to be able to give first aid, life-saving care.
Yeah. Okay, so I repeat, to fix Nigeria, we must first fix how we see and treat one another. This is the ABC of nation building.
Perhaps we won't need reminding when we begin to see ourselves as the royalty that we are. I'll be holding up the mirror for all of us. Ojude Oba has firmly placed Ogun State on the map as one of Nigeria's cultural capitals. Formerly known as the Tauba and later the Odenla Festival, it began as a traditional celebration where worshippers of deities like Shango, Egungun, Oshun, Ogun danced and paid homage to the Awujale. It later evolved into a post-Ramadan tribute by early Muslims to the king. Today, it's a grand cultural fiesta which has grown steadily in scale and popularity. It's one event everyone anticipates for the grandeur and spectacle that it is. The Vanguard newspaper describes it as a display of pageantry, identity, and communal parade. According to OjudeOba.com, the festival attracts over 1 million people across the world. Now, the age grade groups, the Regbe, are essentially a main feature of the festival. Their coordinated outfits, the glam, the elegance, as they pay homage to the Awujale, the king, to renew their allegiance, make powerful fashion statements that are hard to ignore. Also notable is the parade of the Baloguns, the warlords. They add tradition and substance to the event. Now this year, 3 things stood out for me. 1, the female horse riders. From Princess Adeshile of the Fidikpote ruling house, the Princess Goforola of the Balogun Kuku dynasty, whose photo is the iconic one for me this year. They brought elegance and pride to the parade. Having once covered the Royal Welsh Show in Wales, where horses make spectacular displays, seeing these women filled me with nostalgia and admiration. Now, the second one, the organization. Governor Dapo Abiodun called Ogun a cultural capital. I agree, but words must match action. It should deploy resources to fix roads and infrastructure befitting of Ijebuode's cultural significance so that the town can truly look the part. And 3, that scantily dressed young lady who disrespected an elderly man. Yoruba culture thrives on the concept of omoluabi, respect, especially for the elderly. Traditional Yoruba attires for male and female is the dress code for the festival. So it's all shades of disrespect to dress otherwise. Respect culture. Create your parallel event. Grow it and wear your skimpy there. Just respect culture.
First of all, I want to address that. Because Gen Z, people can go to Rema's concert
and do
whatever you want to do. Odumodu concert is there too. Do whatever you want to do. Go to, you know your
gatherings.
You know your gatherings. Go there and do whatever you want. Don't come and be forming rights in a cultural.
I will sue you. I will sue you for defamation.
like you don't have you need to. Now we're not saying that you shouldn't be part of it because it's your culture. You're going to be the next generation to take it to the next level. You need to educate yourself. I feel like this generation of young people are. I don't know if they are ashamed or they're just lazy to really understand the foundation. Or they're so carried away by westernization that they're like, oh, this is what is cool. I don't know what it is.
Or maybe they're going through overload of information and they don't know the one to go with.
Do you understand? Like, one thing that we need to understand is one thing that we have that is so precious. I don't think we value it enough. Maybe when you travel abroad and you meet Black Americans or Black Europeans, and then you talk to them, and then you are able to kind of like communicate your background and your foundation. I remember I was on a flight to Boston, and I was sitting next to this guy, and we just started talking, and I was like, "Oh, my name is Jaja," and I was trying to like tell him about my heritage. Yes. And the dude started crying, like literally, and I'm like, "Bro, you all right? Pretty cool." And he was like, "I just know my dad, and that's it. Like, I don't know my grandfather, my mother's father. I don't know all of that."
He's even lucky to know his dad.
So. Like the fact that you have a heritage, you can trace your foundation back to your great-great-great-grandfather. You have a home, you have a house, you have a culture. You need to understand that that's what makes you unique and extraordinary. Learn it, understand it, and portray it. Respect it and portray it in the most dynamic way that aligns with who you are.
So, Bright,
jeez.
I'm Funke, I hear you, but I think I'll play the devil's advocate here. While I don't know the specific event that happened, as long as
First of all, you don't expect event
somebody...
why you play this
No, you cannot advocate this one.
Excuse me. As long as somebody wore a dress she was comfortable with to go to a public space, I don't think they should be harassed. There is a way they can... Excuse me, you have spoken now. Excuse me. There is a learning process. It could have been her first time or not. It's how she chose to dress. That's one. Secondly, you gave us a chronicle of how the festivals are evolved. So things evolve. Who knows if the dressing will evolve in It's a traditional event.
Dress code.
What's the traditional event?
That's why I ended up with go create yours and wear those skimpy there, so we know that this is your version of Ojude Oba.
Is there a rule in that event that you cannot
What to respect your elders, though?
Let me explain
What about that?
something
What
for you.
to respect the way she was talking to the older to the professor?
It doesn't matter if he's a professor, so he should harass her for addressing. He should harass her for addressing.
You don't have the full details. You just said that.
He did not harass her.
He approached her.
She should give.
You don't have the full details.
He approached her for addressing. Why?
I want to address
It's a
it.
culture. So. If you come to my village and you what do you call it? There's something there that you have to drum and you match it, they will first of all put you in one place for like 2 days.
If you wear that,
it's a culture.
You cannot force people to dress.
No, but you're not forced to go
In your
there.
environment, you're not forced. If you come to my environment,
Is there a rule that says you cannot dress like that?
Yes.
So who allowed her in?
Are you talking to us?
So that's my point.
I love Ojude Oba. 2 years ago, when it kind of like became more mainstream on social media, I had to reach out to someone I know, like, okay, do I need to be an Ijebu woman to participate? Then they're like, no, but you have to marry one if you're not an Ijebu. I'm like, okay, no, don't let us get too ambitious. And then I went on, like, we do Doba. Do we have female riders? They said, no, women don't ride at the Doba. And I'm like, and then this year, I saw female riders. And I'm like, interesting. Next year, I'm definitely riding. The lady, evolution.
Nobody is disputing evolution.
She will not be riding on bomb shots.
Of course not.
There were female horse riders this year. They all wore in row and
finish.
You know, regarding the lady who was inappropriately dressed and was disrespectful to people, the core of Yoruba, like you said, is Omoluabi, which is respect. The core of Omoluabi is respect.
Yes.
You have to respect, even if you are not a Yoruba woman, respect for other people's culture and respect for elders. There is no way that you will be talking to an elderly person. I don't know what...
Don't talk back to an elderly person.
You can even talk back, but you will talk with respect.
The elderly person
No,
does.
you can even
talk to.
Yes.
Or talk with.
Talk with disrespect.
That's it.
You know, and beyond that,
that is part of our problem.
And let me finish. And beyond that,
the problem we're saying about globalization. People pick these things from Europeans who don't have this kind of culture. You bring it here, and then we
Who told you that skimpily dressed is European?
And beyond that,
where are they getting it? We don't do that in the culture.
Don't even go there.
Let's not go there. Let's not
Beyond Yoruba culture, I'm not talking of any other
Don't even go there.
Don't do that.
Beyond that, there are dresses appropriate for different occasions. I don't have issues with what she's wearing. I have issues with where she's wearing it too. Like, why will your knickers? And knickers were showing. Why will your knickers be showing at a cultural event? And you are not one of the dancers, the cultural troops dancer. I can understand, maybe, you know. But again, I don't know.
Because when we are going on trips, even trips anywhere, you see one of the most searched will be how do they dress?
How do they dress in Egypt?
So
how do they dress in this
You cannot be coming to a festival like this and not try to find out how you're supposed to look. That's one. And secondly, I think we are deviating and we've not spoken about Governor Dapo Abiodun. I beg you in the name of everything you are serving, fix Ogun State. It's not even just about this festival. Just really do your work. I know that you're doing some work, but just do your work. I think that's all I have to say.
I just want to say, and I need to put it out there, that the festival this year was properly organized in the sense that there was no crowd control. And if we're talking about Ojude Oba moving up, expanding and become a big tourist attraction and something to watch out for on your calendar, we must do the appropriate things. There must be crowd control. All these street parties in the middle of the road, all these traffic, 4 hours getting into Ijebode to be part of the Ojude Oba should not be what we're talking about if we're going to scale up and get Ojude Oba to become a UNESCO approved, event.
Festival.
So we need to do better. So it's not just saying that the state is a cultural capital. Fix the roads. The hotels must operate by world standard. If they don't, at least for that particular event season, they should. That's what I have to say. Thank you, guys. Beauty is in the eye of the beholder. So it's crucial that the beholder isn't looking through a distorted lens.
Distortion of culture and dress codes. I tell you a story. During the colonial era in India, the British, to reduce the population of cobras, offered incentives for any cobra killed. People started rearing cobras to get the incentives, leading to an increase in the population of cobras, a classic case of perverse incentives. Today, I'm not talking about cobras, but something as venomous, the Federal Road Safety Commission. So, I'm talking about the institutionalization of jungle justice and perverse incentives by the Federal Road Safety Commission, whose mandate and responsibilities include accident prevention and traffic management, driver and vehicle regulation, emergency response, enforcement of traffic laws, amongst others. Road safety officials, however, seem only interested in enforcement of traffic laws, which they have interpreted to mean that they are the accusers, the prosecutors, the judge, the jury, the executioners, and fine collectors. Accused motorists are asked to make payments immediately into federal road safety accounts. Otherwise, the vehicle is impounded. The motivation is clearly income generation, as rickety commercial vehicles with several obvious reasons to be stopped by road safety officials, including blatant traffic violations, are completely ignored, while sleek vehicles stopping at traffic lights, law-abiding citizens are approached simply to fish for offenses. They search for triangles, fire extinguishers, tiny cracks on windscreens. Oftentimes, they hide at sharp bends, with officials jumping in front of moving vehicles like armed robbers, with road safety vehicles revving and ready to cut into the road in front of moving vehicles, causing total chaos and increasing the risk of accidents they are meant to be preventing. If anyone is found guilty the right way, of course they should pay. However, elsewhere, accused persons have sometimes 14 to 28 days to appeal or pay up, otherwise they face increased fines and penalties. The best FRSC will tell you here is that they will take you to a mobile court, even before you consider getting defense lawyers. Road safety has been so successful using this jungle justice system that many organizations are now following suit. In the FCT, for example, where I live, we see a proliferation of roguish-looking persons wearing T-shirts of whatever organizations they claim to belong to, harassing motorists, pulling out plate numbers, etc. Individuals must part with cash on the spot. VIO officials blatantly tell motorists that they are trying to generate their salaries, asking for on-the-spot payments with no provision for fair hearing or appeal, and paying fines into road safety designated accounts are all perverse incentives and criminal. Fines should be paid into the federation account or something similar. Systems should be strengthened for the right things to be done the right way, not the current chaos. No Nigerian should be judged on the roadside.
I don't know who we offended, right? But this has gone beyond common sense. That's one thing I miss about Ben Bruce. He always says it's common sense. The system itself is the biggest enabler of all of this dysfunctionality.
That's right.
Absolutely.
Simple, bro. Like, do you know that we could put systems in place that could make our roads more safe? We'll spend less money, and then we'll actually get more money.
Yeah.
Into the system.
Into the system.
Oh, this one is going so.
No. I'm saying if the purpose, the purpose of all of these agencies are for two reasons. One is to secure lives, and then two, income generation for the federal account, for the government, to still build roads and all of that. If that's the intention, if I'm running a business, if that's it's simple. There are technologies in place that can do that. That human beings should not even be involved. You put camera, you put speed limit, you put all of things in place. If you pass, you won't see one police, one road safety in Dubai or in all of these places. Because why? Even in America, they just go and park one side. Once they see the speed limit, boom, they'll drive and follow you. Or in Dubai, you just get an email that says, this is your offense, this is how much. By this time, if you don't pay it or come and impound your car, they know your house address. It's structures. It's simple.
Very simple.
So it has to be that the same way that there used to be this ideology that the reason why we don't want to fix power is because there are people that sell generator that are controlling the system, and if they fix power, we won't be buying generator anymore. Like, I feel like that's where we are. It's like I feel like there's some certain people who this is their source of income and they want to live it that way.
I would like to say we have an Agberoism approach to law enforcement. Because why is an FRSC official jumping in front of a vehicle? That is what you see from thought at the park.
That's what you see from VIO.
That's very in Lagos.
It's not even funny.
Very everywhere.
Yes. It's and all those ones, Central District, Kiniko,
They wear some
Lagos,
t-shirts and put their...
This one's uniformed people on the roads.
Uniformed touts.
In this age and time, it is what it is. Like Bright said, technology has advanced to the point that to get those things working does not cost a lot, but creates maximum impact. But I don't believe in the fact that there is a cabal holding all of these processes in place. I believe it's an infrastructural issue. And I believe Nigeria is going to get there in the next couple of years. Lagos State has started implementing. If you do anyhow, you just... I could remember as far back as 2018 or 19, thereabout. My driver ran through a traffic light. It was on a Ikeja. I was going to the mall. And then as I was getting to the mall, I was receiving a text message that, okay, there is an infraction on this card. This was 2018. And I know now it has significantly progressed. I can see there are speed limit stickers, cameras on 3rd Mainland, and people are getting notified when they have infractions. I believe it's a process. There is still a lot of infrastructural gap in Nigeria. The moment you leave Lagos and Abuja, every other place, it's still a lot of struggle. We will get there, but we have to keep talking about it and ensure that, we optimize our systems and processes as much as possible. But I also agree with Ande. There's no reason why you have to pay your traffic fines immediately. There is no reason why you have to be tried and judged immediately. Give me a chance to appeal. Someone will just come and say, oh, she jumped traffic light. I did not jump traffic light. Bring your proof. But because you are the judge, you are the jury, you are the lawyer, you are everything, you just say, okay, madam, pay fine.
I had gone to process my papers with VIO. I was picking up my certificate that week. And there I was driving to those places, if you're going to Badagry. That was when I went to Benin. So suddenly we got to these VIO checkpoints and confidently, I had nothing to fear. And then they just jumped onto the road. Your papers, I showed them the temporary one. And then they just said, I should come down. Somebody would drive, or I'm driving to their office. What's the problem? No, madam, are you ready to drive or no? What's going on here? Anyway, so I said, I can't drive with this kind of harassment. Drive. So we got to their office, and then they said, well, they're stopping me and I have to pay fine. I'm going to do this. All the harassment because my windscreen was cracked. And I said, so that's why you brought me here. You couldn't book me for that. By the way, this car had just been inspected by your people at your headquarters. Why didn't they flag it? Why are you flagging me here? And at any rate, you don't have to form a group and, circle round me. Where is the place I'm paying? I was so livid, like, I'm not paying into your accounts. I'll be paying to Lagos State government. So what's the harassment? Oh, my friend, I spoke with them and then they say, hey, madam, you can go. We know you now. We see your TV.
I had a similar experience.
They didn't know.
Crazy.
I stopped time, though.
I stopped driving in Lagos because I parked in front of Osborne. And I was waiting. I went to eat somewhere. I left my card. I was waiting for them to bring my card across. And then they just came. All of them came like, hey, but why are you parked here? I'm like, I literally just got here. Someone is literally crossing the road to give me. They're like, no, we are taking you to our yard. I'm like, okay, take me to my yard. I just bought these really nice white shoes, black and white shoes. And then I got to the yard. I saw the place. I had to come down. Like, what? They totally ruined my shoes. I was like, no, I don't have to do this. Since that day, that was the last time I drove in Lagos. Like, nah.
Okay,
just to wrap up here, I would say that my question is, why are the road traffic and roadworthiness laws for some people and not for some people? That is my major worry and major concern from this advocacy. Everything has been touched. Because why would you be stopping her for a crack or whatever it is?
It's not visibility.
On the spot, you are seeing a boss without mirror, without lights, nothing, like a death trap, which is what I call it every time.
With plasters holding the
And they are
windscreens
carrying
together.
passengers, even a commercial vehicle. And they're immune. These laws does not affect them.
Apply to them.
So I need to understand why that is the case. And Lagos state government, this one, I know it happens in every other state, but this is very peculiar to Lagos state government. Why is Danfo allowed to be tacky? Why are the buses, even the BRTs now are getting to that point. Why are they allowed to be unkept, not roadworthy, but they can move on our roads? However, somebody like me have to have triangle, like you said. That's my question.
Yeah.
See caution. Say it after me.
See caution. Fire extinguisher. Yes, though we are laughing about it, it's not funny, and we can see the fear it instills in citizens. It puts both citizens and the road safety officials at risk. No traffic system should operate outside of the Constitution. No Nigerian should be forced to part with fines on the spot. Together, we can create a just, a safe, and a fair Nigeria, one road at a time.
That's right.
Join us again, same channel, same time, next week, and let's invest in putting our society right. Till then, it's goodbye from all of us.
Peace in the Middle East.